I heard that if you get into Juilliard, then it's like a free scholarship.
To where?
Juilliard?
So it's a free school?
Yeah, if you get in.
Right, if you get in, it's free.
But it's just really hard to get in.
Right.
It needs a lot of attention.
I just have to be a genius. Like, what?
It was, I don't get how people didn't realize how offensive of a movie this was, but it was made in the 80s, and it's called Soul Man. And it's this guy who finds out he wants to go to Harvard for law school, and he's white. And he finds out that there's a scholarship available for African American high schoolers who want to go to Harvard. So he paints himself and like acts that for like his entire 4 years at Harvard. And like it's a movie, and no one thought that was offensive.
No,
like,
it was like the 80s.
It was the 80s.
The 80s was like people would have recognized that it's offensive in the 80s.
Yeah, I know.
But it was still like
It's offensive, so I should stop.
The whole plot of the movie is then he goes, and then once he goes, Mom, Dad.
it's probably not as outrageous or like
I watched the
surprisingly.
trailer.
No, I'm saying like in the 80s
Oh, okay.
because they were just
They probably aired
getting
it,
outraged.
in Nebraska.
I guess.
Now we're all used to that being not acceptable.
Yeah. It's just so. I don't know. It's just like whoever wrote that movie. I'm like, where did you? How did?
A family comedy starring Jim Carrey.
This is egregious.
That's a good word.
Thank you.
That's a good word to use. I mean, I know what it means, but like, I don't use it.
That's probably like the first time I've used it.
Use it more.
I'm really apathetic to big words.
It's apathetic too. I love using big words wrong.
Because no one
'Cause
knows
it's
when you're
funny.
using them wrong.
No, it's funnier when they know, like,
They don't know.
they know that you're using it wrong, but you just don't care.
No, what's egregious is what?
Big words that people don't know usually.
And this
Or maybe
water
do.
is really altruistic.
No, but like
What's
big words
egregious?
that people do know. Like everybody knows. Irony. And people use
That's not a big word. Irony is a 5-letter word. IRONY. That's a very short
No,
word.
but people like use it like, oh, I'm being sophisticated. But
I don't think it now.
It's semi-sophisticated.
some people.
No, juxtaposition is one that Will
That's a good one.
Will Mears uses it every humanities class. Well, he used to. I mean, I don't know that club anymore. He used to use it every humanities class, and they would just they would just laugh at him because he would never use it right, or he just applied to other kind of stuff. He's like, Mr. Mears like put me in a group with like some random person. He's just like the juxtaposition of their personalities is quite infuriating, and you're just what does that even mean?
Most of it, which actually I can't believe it's the way it is.
Funnier. He said sanitary.
Sanitary?
Yeah.
It's just sanitary. No, what
Sanitary,
else?
big word.
It's better than clean. I saw this one post. I saw a screenshot of the post. I think it was on Tumblr. It might have been on Reddit, but it was just is there a word that means a combination of happy and or of sad and mad? And one person goes like disgruntled, blah blah blah. They listed a lot of things, and then someone was just like smad. It's like there are two types of people. Steampunks? Yeah, steampunk is not this, I don't think.
I thought steampunk was a fashion statement. I got excited for a second.
Guys, let's pick our parts for Fred.
Oh, I'll just be Greg.
Lydia Ray.
Winter formal or something?
I think we all picked
I think it's a little late for winter formal.
Oh no, winter storm.
Like green,
No,
or like
it's still a little late for winter storm. I don't know, I think it's egregious. And my favorite sportscaster, Ray Rice, who's the NFL player, was suspended for 2 games for knocking out his girlfriend in an elevator. Like, there's security cameras of them coming out, and she's unconscious. It was a domestic violence issue. The NFL suspended him for 2 games, and people were outraged that that was too short. Where they have guys being suspended for the entire season.
How we doing over there, Trish?
For failing drug tests.
Wait, he got beat up and then
No.
He knocked out his wife, and then he got suspended. His girlfriend. Now they're married. And so my favorite sportscaster, he was on ESPN Radio, and or on his show First Take, sorry, and he was like saying, "It is." He's like, I'm gonna paraphrase, but I know for multiple times. Yes,
2.5 minutes.
I know multiple times he said it is never okay to put your hands on a woman. He said that multiple times. Put your hands on a woman, and he said, but when you're dealing with people who are aggressive, sometimes you should need to know when not to go, not because it's right, but because you need to protect yourself. And people were like, they were like coming off him like, oh, I didn't know I could provoke. And he's like, so don't provoke them. And he was like, not saying it's her fault at all. He said it was wrong of him. And everyone went off like, oh, so now I can provoke my own domestic violence issue. Like, and some of his coworkers at ESPN were like tweeting out like Stephen A.
You don't have to wear the sticky ones. Yours are right next to you.
What I provoke. Stuff like that. And ESPN suspended him from ESPN
Those
Radio
are
on TV
Howard's.
for a week. And I'm like, the dude was being honest. Like, everyone wants it to be this thing where it's the guy's fault, and it is the guy's fault. But we have, but he said
You should
but we
listen to Bill Burr. Have you ever heard of him?
Bill Murr.
Bill Burr. He's a comedian. He's like, he has like a whole bit about what you're talking about.
But that's the thing. Is like, all the video evidence they have is he comes
Less
out of
than
the
2
elevator
minutes.
with his wife unconscious. He knocked her out. We don't know if she hit him first in the elevator, which doesn't make it okay. That's what he said. But it doesn't make it okay. But we don't know what happened in the elevator. Just don't spill anything with them.
God,
90 seconds.
water's my friend.
Actually, my record for spillage, outlaw.
So it's just like
Yeah, I know you're known for it, but like, I mean,
wanna aim it-
look
I'm
at
not
the
arguing
room.
anything,
Like
I'm
the
saying
room's
it's
a
egregious.
mess.
Ryan's
I just don't want
Nico.
ants and like that kind of.
For the statement that he made.
No.
Oh, for knocking
No. This is a sportscaster who commented on.
Are you able to get us on the big screen or no?
I thought he knocked out his wife.
I popped the temperature down, Matt.
Okay. Yeah, I hadn't
What
checked
happened
it.
was-
1 minute.
1 minute.
Let's settle down,
Huh?
guys.
I understand.
Let's settle down.
Usually he moves it over where we can all see.
For the show.
Where are you gonna sit, Ian?
I mean, you're on
You want to sit on
line,
the bench?
but
Come here. Make room for Ian. Then you know what, Ian? Go get an ottoman and let Scott sit there. And go get an ottoman and put it in the doorway for you.
30 seconds.
Wherever you're comfortable. Anything that makes you comfortable.
In the Donald Sterling controversy.
No,
He basically
no, it's not on the screen.
made a bunch of comments on it, too, that said-
20 seconds.
he made some very serious comments. He's like, I'm scared of
Blotting.
people who dress a certain way.
15.
Yeah, he's like, I can't stand people.
Summer, let's talk about it.
10.
I got a car accident.
Yeah, definitely.
It's really interesting stuff, in my opinion. But
5, 4,
Yeah, I
We're
3.
still on the phone.
Our place where we can dream and share it. Our place, we'll find a friend to care.
We are Our Place Out Loud. I am your lovely and captivating host, Louise Blanker, here with a panel of wise and wonderful teens. Are we on the air, Matt? All right.
We're on. You just can't see it.
Oh, okay. That's nothing to look at. We have Montana, Kiamute, Ryan. Ryan is back, everybody. Round of applause for Team Rye Guy.
that's me.
And Nico, Team Nico in the house. We've got some in-studio guests. We've got Remy and we've got Nick. Because we didn't have enough people named Nicholas, so we decided there's another kid named Nicky who's probably be back next week. And then once we have a full complement of Nick, we'll be as cool as Tony, make the car go boom.
And Nico's kind of close.
Close to what?
Nick.
His name is Nicholas.
Is it?
Yes.
my full name's Nicholas.
The more you know.
The more you know. So we're going to be talking about summer fun. I guess Nico just caused a big summer fun car accident.
Oh yeah, there was a huge explosion outside. No, there was a big car explosion outside, but that's like a totally unrelated thing. I actually backed up into my friend's car, and it's been a fun time. I've had to go through insurance. I've had to talk to him, and this is just a really fun summertime story.
What did
right
you
now.
learn? Did
You had to
learn
talk
like,
to him?
Well, yeah, he's my friend.
Oh, that sounds
did
terrible.
you leave a note?
Sorry.
I know. I hate talking to people, but
Did you leave a note?
No. He was backing out, and then I backed
Oh,
out.
You were both backing out.
Yep.
Wow.
The dent on his car is bigger than mine, though, so it's fine.
All right. So, and we're in the middle of, we live right next to UCLA where there's a big flood. The street exploded and there's water gushing everywhere. And still everybody managed to make it up to the house. And I guess Ryan's beloved Bruins are underwater.
Yeah, I mean, it's just we renovate. Well, not we, but UCLA renovated their basketball stadium for $126 million last year. And I kind of say we because they took it out of season ticket holders' pockets for the most, not for the most part, but a large portion of it. And now it's like underwater. It's like all that for this.
How many guys are suited up and ready to go for water polo?
Probably a lot, but I think it was like set up for volleyball right now. But I guess you could kind of play like water polo on a volleyball court.
You could play like pool. You could play pool volleyball. What is there a name for that sport?
I think
Where
they
you
have
play-
like at some pools they just have volleyball nets.
Yeah, but is there a name like pool?
Poolyball.
Poolyball. Okay,
No.
excellent. All right, so we're having summer fun, and we've got a lot of really fun in-studio guests, but we're going to get into questions that are interesting for kids and other people. This comes in from Pink Lover. If you want to give us a call, 888-531-7171. I'm not going to embarrass Howard by talking about how he just exploded Diet Coke all over. He actually reenacted the UCLA disaster with Diet Coke all right here in the studio.
Except he managed to stop this,
If
and
you
that
were
hasn't been stopped
watching
yet.
the pre-show, you was that on camera at all, Trish? The Coke explosion? And he did it without even one Mento, which is pretty commendable. It was like one of those things where the Howard's headphones moved, and then his Coke moved, and then the earth moved under my feet. Anyway, so we're having a very eventful summer evening, but I know that you want to know what people want to know. Pink Lover would like to know, how does it...
What
Oh,
does
and
she
this
want to
is-
know?
Well, Nico, would you like to use the accent that you imagine within which she typed this question?
Okay, like
No.
which one?
It's not a valid... Read it. How does it look like to be a freshman?
Oh, okay. Here.
What should I do to have good and lots of friends? That's generic foreign accent.
Wheezy, I really don't appreciate you making fun of this girl's post.
No. That's anybody who speaks better English than I speak, whatever language is her native tongue.
Yeah.
So, all pride and credit to you for writing into our place with English as a second language. And it brings up the point that a lot of kids are writing and asking, I'm going to be a freshman, I'm going to be a freshman in college, I'm going to be a freshman in high school. The word freshman means fresh man. It means I am new at this. How do I do this? What should I expect? And it's hard to really say because every school setting is different. Every group of kids is different. But the one thing that remains the same is when you say, I'm going to be a freshman, what you're saying is, I am not the only person who's going to be a freshman. There will be a large group of people who are having the exact same experience as you. So always keep that in the top of your mind. Ryan.
I can't speak on being a college freshman, but in terms of being a high school freshman, the one thing that I think is fairly universal across all schools is that the workload increases a lot from 8th grade to freshman year. So you need to prep yourself and get ready for that, but at the same time, don't think that you're not going to be able to have any fun. And if you enjoy freshman year and you make sure to remind yourself that it's not as bad as it might seem like, it's a lot more enjoyable. And just interact with people, meet new friends. My guess is that if you go to a school that has a middle school and a high school, so you've been through their system already, they'll probably have a pretty good system of making sure that their 8th graders are prepped for 9th grade. But when you switch schools, it can be different. So just be aware of all that kind of stuff. Nico?
Yeah, the first thing you should know about being a freshman is that you're a huge nerd. No. When the first thing to remember about being a freshman is, yeah, you are going to something new, but the best advice I could give is to be really open to trying new things, because any kind of freshman is going to be encountering a lot of different kind of things at their school that they hadn't really seen at their school. So if you try to open yourself up to a new club that maybe you were curious about but never did in middle school, then, that's a great way to meet new people and have good and lots of friends. Keo?
When I was a freshman, the thing that I thought about was all of my other first experiences involving school. So I remembered when I went from preschool to kindergarten and I didn't go the first day. I refused to go, or I was really late at least. And then from kindergarten to first grade, which was really different. And I thought about from elementary to middle school. And so I kept on thinking about that and how eventually it just turned out to be all right. And I was like, oh, this isn't so bad. And that's kind of how I calmed my nerves for going into freshman year. Montana?
Yeah, so the thing about being a freshman is, especially if you switch schools, is that you have like a whole fresh start. So everything that you did in middle school, no one will know. Well, actually, no, that's completely wrong. Because I forgot that most people switch, like they go from middle school to high school with a similar group of people. I didn't at all for like any of elementary or middle or high school. But for the most part, like middle school does get left behind, whatever school you go to. So just try to have a positive outlook. Don't try to like be something new for people. Just like be yourself. Have a good time. It's freshman year. You're that much closer to going to college and being as far away from middle school as possible.
You get to pretty much kind of reinvent yourself, like, at the end of every summer, because every kid is changing. Like, you might look at some boy and go, wow, I never noticed him because he just grew, like, a foot over the summer.
Mm-hmm.
Or, you know, you'll find yourself thinking, oh, she's cool now. And it's like everything gets erased because you kind of realize, like, anything anyone did in elementary school, well, they were just a child. Like, it starts to become abundantly clear that everyone's evolving.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to get your thoughts, Keo, and then go to the phone call.
Yeah, I was just going to say most people do go with a similar group, but there's also just a lot of new people. So it's almost like you're going in, like you don't know anybody there. And like you don't, middle school does not matter. It's like forgotten kind of, it's like.
And it doesn't even matter what happens. It doesn't matter if you wet your pants or threw up all over the principal. Like, that just becomes a joke at a certain point, you know? Because everybody was just a little kid. Hello, thanks for calling our place. Who's this?
Hello.
Hello, Mrs. Culver.
Hello.
How are you and the husband?
We're good.
You're good, having summer fun?
Please.
I saw you guys in a picture together on Facebook. Or what was it on?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Chris Colfer took this big like selfie of himself at this book signing, and then Mrs. Chris Colfer, our caller, circled herself, and it's totally her. I can identify her. So that's one for the memory book.
Yeah.
Did you want to talk about like what year are you going into school this year?
Junior.
Oh, you're going to be a junior? So do you remember what it felt like? Do you remember what it felt like to be a freshman?
Well, yes.
Any advice?
And no. Truthfully, I only knew one person going into it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was worth it, truthfully, because by the middle of the year, I had an entire table of friends. So because I was listening to on my computer about what y'all were talking about, and this person wants to have good friends.
Right.
So be yourself.
Mm-hmm.
The friends you attract are the friends that rub off on you.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure if that makes sense.
And it makes sense, and I also always want to remind people that it's not just that you need friends, it's that others need your friendship. So you are just as much of a gift to people as they are to you. Ryan wants to talk? Shocker.
Well, I always love to talk, hear my own voice. But, no, I agree with the concept of being, like, a friend and bringing your friends forward with you, but also just know that I'm going to have to disagree with Montana on the whole middle school stays behind and also Wheezy on that one, because I go to a school where we pride ourselves on being non-judgmental and non-cliquey and not having, like, groups, but it's kind of really, really fake, and as much as I think we do a good job at it, there are things I know about that are allegedly happen to people in middle school, people I've talked to once or twice, and I just know things about them that I don't look down on them for it, but I'm fully aware that other people do, and there are things that come forward with you. So don't try and play those things off, but just put them behind you and move on and be your own new kind of person.
What could be a middle school crime that would carry with you
You'd
through life?
You'd be surprised.
I need to hear an example.
I don't know if I want to share examples.
Were there any murders?
No.
Okay.
I mean, okay. Not in my experiences, at least.
Jordan, who did you kill?
It wasn't me.
Okay, it's fine then.
What happened, Jordan?
No, nobody killed anyone, but
Oh.
someone brought a gun to school.
Oh, that's
Oh yeah, see that's bad.
That'll
But
stay
then,
with you.
yeah. All right, Montana has something to say to you.
Oh yeah, what I meant by middle school stays behind, I agree with Ryan. Actually, things you do in middle school do kind of come forward with you, but I meant like the mentality of middle school just dissolves a bit. Like, remember when middle school was super cliquey and people hated you one day because
Right.
you didn't wear pink on Wednesdays?
But at the
Like-
same time, that does happen at a lot of schools, and we just happen to go to a school that, as fake as it is, I think kind
Yeah.
of doesn't.
No,
I mean, 'cause
definitely.
our school, like I said, prides ourselves on it, and in school, you won't see people like trashing anyone. But the second you leave campus, people talk badly
No,
about
I
you.
understand
yeah.
that people
No,
are
but, like,
people
in-
wherever they
in
go, but
general.
in general, I found high school people to be a kinder breed of people.
Not
than
even
middle
kinder. We just don't care as much to
don't care as
nitpick
much.
about everything.
They're
Generally.
off doing their own thing, and you can.
And it just gets better with college. I've
Yeah.
heard.
No, that is absolutely true. Like, the more mature the person gets, the less petty. And, you know, you'll see a lot of people who go on Dr. Phil who are full-grown ass adults being very petty about a lot of things. I'm not saying that people completely stop being petty, because if they're very immature, they continue being petty. But most people in high school find that it's less brutal.
You can. The best thing to do is learn to embrace it. Like, I used to be like fairly chubby in middle school, and my friends have pictures of me, and I had an awful bowl cut, and I just like laugh at that. So when people show that around, like I even think it's kind of funny looking back on it. So if you can embrace something that people might bring up as comedic and it might hurt you, if it hurts you, that's bad. But if you can embrace it and find the humor in it, that's usually helpful.
Hey,
Keo.
Matt.
Oh.
Matt,
And
find,
also-
1 second. Find the middle school picture of Ryan Seacrest.
Oh, I thought you were going to say. I
It's-
thought you were going to say Ryan Tabb.
It's we'll find that next year. Go ahead, Montana.
Oh, and the one thing almost everybody I know can bond over. Actually, there's one person I know that is not the case, but everybody else I've ever talked to, nobody had a good time in middle school. Just walk up to
Wait,
some-
who's the one person? Jake?
No, he said he hated middle school too.
That's when he met me. How could he hate middle school?
You were the one bright shining light.
No,
can you-
Or the
It
one
was
thing that tore it all down.
Can we put that online somewhere? Can we put?
That's
Oh,
not
honey.
good.
Yeah, it is.
Trish kid.
No.
Yeah, he was
Just
a
Google
fat
Ryan
girl.
Seacrest kid picture or fat kid.
Oh no.
Sorry,
can't
Tiny
put it on
Rosie
it's
O'Donnell.
a search result.
Wait, you can't put it on Trish's computer?
She can put it on
No,
the computer.
but she
Oh.
can bring it up.
We'll do it next week when Jake is here, because it's good.
We kind of try to describe the picture. Basically,
Picture's
imagine
so good.
Ryan and you have the picture.
Oh, snippity snap!
What if next week or like the week after we all brought in pictures of ourselves from middle school or like
Okay.
bad pictures of ourselves
Oh, yeah.
and we put them like in a little montage?
I was not as pretty as Ryan Seacrest.
But Keo has been waiting to talk. So
Okay, Keo.
Keo, I bet
Um,
you look cool in middle school.
Yeah,
I
Q
had
was always
dreadlocks.
cool. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes, next week, everyone send a childhood picture of yourself to my email address, and I'll get them ready for Jake to show during the show next week.
Okay.
Deal. All right, Mrs. Culfer, we got to open up the phone line. Thank you so much for being your beautiful self
Oh.
tonight.
I had a question.
Okay, go ahead.
actually.
Yes, go.
So, my boyfriend and I, yes, we are going to have a date at his house, and we're watching Sherlock, and his parents are going to be there.
Okay.
And I don't want it to be awkward.
It won't be awkward.
Sherlock
Okay,
is
but Montana has tips for you on
Sherlock is really interesting.
Oh,
so
God.
that's a good
how.
thing.
It won't be awkward. Just,
Wait,
it's just
this
like movie night.
this isn't Mr. Chris Colfer, is it? It's like an actual person.
This is an actual
It's
person.
an actual
Okay,
person.
good.
She.
I was like, wow,
Wow, Culfer's coming over to meet the parents. Nice.
you guys are actually married. Okay.
No, yeah, it's her actual
But,
boyfriend.
No?
Why don't I mean? What's gonna be awkward? Are his parents gonna be like, just?
Oh, look, it's Ryan Seacrest, everybody.
Oh.
Isn't she
Okay,
pretty?
so we got the picture up.
Oh, wait.
Okay, go ahead, Montana.
Oh, poor Ryan. Seacrest.
Poor Ryan Seacrest.
Thank God he's rich now.
And handsome.
Miss Jordan Chris Colfer, quick question. I don't remember, how old are you? Am I allowed to ask
16, I think.
that? 16? Okay.
Oh, yeah,
She's a junior.
15.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it shouldn't be too awkward. I mean,
The first minute will be awkward, and then just say something goofy about like whatever everyone's watching.
have you met
And,
his
like,
parents before?
Pretend you're part of their family, like that they're the in-laws, and you're just hanging out watching stuff.
But are his parents gonna be like?
Oh, Sherlocky, like investigating you and stuff? Like,
Yeah,
like
basically,
pestering you?
because
I
like
hope not.
Have you
Oh.
met them before?
Yeah.
So they know you.
I mean, so if they're normal-ish people, they're not going to be like, "Oh, what are you guys doing?" Blah, 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 blah. I don't know what parents say, but you know what I mean.
Plus, generally, from my experience, girls' parents tend to be a little more concerned than guys' parents.
Yeah,
So.
just treat them like people.
His parents are going to be like, he has a girl. They're going to be like so happy. So just be yourself and be cute, because you are cute and funny. So just be cute and funny and like say little factoids that you know about Sherlock and make everybody laugh. Don't talk during dialogue, because nobody likes that. I know, right? I know.
Children do that all the time.
Yeah.
Too.
So yeah, don't talk during dialogue, because they may be into like really watching the show, and you want to make sure they like you. So like if there's like a moment where no one's talking, you can say something silly, but yeah, just enjoy it. He's inviting you over to do something with his parents. That's a good thing.
Yeah, and like he's probably not gonna invite you over if he thinks it's gonna be awkward. So he probably thinks it'll be all right because he knows his parents and he knows you. So
yeah, it's gonna be super good. So go have fun, and we will hear from you next week about how it went. Okay?
Hello, Jordan.
Okay.
All right, girl. All right, we are at 888-531-7171. We're going to go to the next question. We are Our Place Out Loud. This is from Jay-Z. I'm going to have Ryan read it because it's a long one, and I don't like talking.
I love talking. If I have to say it any more times, I'm happy to. So Jay-Z said, I used to be this fun girl who always wanted to do something every day with every person in the world. Wow, that's a lot. But lately I've been cutting a lot of friends off, feeling like when it really comes down to it, he wouldn't be there for me. I've been turning down offers to stay home and watch Netflix with my family. I feel that my friends aren't as important to me as they used to be. I'm also a lot more quieter and a lot more shy when meeting new people. I feel myself changing, but I'm afraid of what I could change into. How am I supposed to find myself? I just know that I'm not the same as before, but with everything that's been happening, IDK who I am or who I should become. How am I supposed to figure that out?
So do you guys think that this phase is like pretty normal, where you're like kind of cocoon for a moment or two before you're ready to like reemerge as your new self? Go ahead, Montana.
I like Montana. Actually,
Montana.
I have a friend who we call Montana who used to look just like me, like same haircut. We used to wear the same clothes. I used to got mistaken for a guy a lot, and he looks just like me
That
and
would
has
be
the
a
same
good version
mannerisms.
for like the male version of you.
Wait, is
It's
it a person
Montana.
who goes to our school?
No,
Oh, okay.
but it's Jenna's friend, if you know him. Sizzy? Okay, never mind. Yeah, so actually I've done this probably a bunch of times. Like I've had friends and then I'm like, no, I'm going to watch Netflix for like a few months, and then just like I think it's really just like going into yourself and trying to think about who your real friends are, what are your priorities, and it's just gaining maturity, basically, hopefully. And I don't think you're going to become a hermit. This is perfectly normal. Just don't let yourself become a hermit, basically, and everything's going to work out with time.
It's also probably more likely to happen over the summer when there's not that much seeing people on a regular basis, and you could like, oh, like, you know, this person didn't text me, and then you guys also get to go on Instagram and see everyone having fun without you, so it'd be really easy to be like, oh, I was going to watch Sherlock with my family or Jordan's family or Jordan's boyfriend's family or whatever, just because like there's so much to do at home. Like we used to be so bored. I know you don't want to hear me talk about when I was your age, but I wasn't bored. When, you know, because I was like doing like little creative projects by myself and stuff, but I could hear like I thought I was hanging out with my sister. I thought we were having a good time. I thought she was enjoying herself. Then the phone would ring and I'd hear my sister going, "Oh my God, I'm so glad you called. I'm so bored." I'm like, "What am I? I thought I was here doing things with you." But like my sister was like more social than me, and so she'd be wanting to go do. But now there's so much to entertain yourself with without having to leave your home, which is why I think kids are getting their driver's license later and stuff like that. But it's like still normal to want to know, like, is that person like, you know what? I'd rather just. I mean, I think it's normal as long as you don't let it carry you away, so that you're like, no one gets me. Whose hand is up? Keo?
I remember this happening to me, and it was kind of when I became more aware of myself, and I started asking myself who I was, and I was like, what is it that makes me who I am, and like what are my thoughts, like actual thoughts? Because before that I was just kind of going along thinking I'm pretty great and everything's pretty great, I'm happy, and I didn't worry about too much like anything else. So I think it's a normal thing to go through, and yeah, it happens, especially during summer, and there are people that you're gonna not want to hang out with sometimes, so it's normal to not always want to hang out. Sometimes you don't feel like hanging out. You're not always in the mood.
Sometimes you have imaginary conversations with someone that you're not even friends with yet.
Mhm.
I mean, all of that is like, you may think you're not creating yourself, but you actually are. Like, every moment that you're awake or asleep, even dreaming. Who else has had a hand up? And Remy or Nick, if you guys have anything to add, there's a microphone right in front of you. Just put your hands up and you get to talk. Just don't spill any Coke, please. Ryan. Oh, Nico, sorry. I didn't know your hand was up. I thought you were just your cool pose.
I'll just
Yeah.
no, but so like this is happening to me now, less so than it did like last summer, but to me it happens generally in summer. Last Saturday I was like invited to a party and I was like, you know what, I'd just rather sleep. So I went to sleep at 7, woke up and I was like, at like 12, and I'm like, oh, the party's probably over by now. And I was like, but I'm kind of glad I was asleep. Like, that was really relaxing. And then I went with a movie with my dad the next day, and like sometimes it's just enjoyable to be relaxed. But when I was in DC this summer, I looked on Instagram and I saw a picture of some of my close friends at the beach. And like my first thought was, why wasn't I invited? And then I was like, oh wait, I'm on the other side of the country. Like, I don't know. It's one of the. I think it's kind of natural to feel like there's something wrong with not being a part of things, but sometimes it's just good to relax. Nico.
I love the pass off you did. This happens to me in like 2 scenarios. One is in like the middle of summer. I'll feel like, oh god, I have no obligation to talk to anyone since I'm not in school. I'm just not going to. I feel super lazy, and then I just play video games for like a month without talking to anyone. I don't know. I feel like part of it is me kind of trying to find myself, and part of it is just me like going between introvert and extroverted. Thank you, Ryan.
Found him.
And the faster way that I usually go through like weeks is like last week I was hanging out with all my friends and my girl like every single day. I was driving down. We went to Venice. We all had fun. I crashed a car, and then after that week, I felt so burnt out that I didn't talk to anyone. I barely talked to my girl. I barely talked to my friends, and I just stayed inside and kind of just stared at the ceiling, asked, like, what am I doing? I feel like you'll have those moments every once in a while, but it's good to kind of let yourself be introverted and stuff. And I think Keo has something to say.
I think there are also moments where you think it's not going to be fun, but then once you're actually there, it's a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
There's times where, like, you just don't really feel like it, and it might be you're a little depressed about something, but if you just make yourself go out, hang out with these people, then it'll turn out to be fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's all about balance. Like, take some time for yourself. That doesn't mean you're not creating yourself. You are. You're always creating yourself. You may even create yourself more when you're alone than when you're with other people. But, you know, don't become a hermit, and have a good mixture of social. Plus, when you take your time to yourself, don't feel guilty. Don't feel like you're letting yourself down, because you don't have to go to every party or every event. You should. I find that if I'm alone for a certain amount of time, then I'm like craving social, just like my sim version of me, craving social. And then if you're just around people too much, you crave solitude. And I kind of like probably crave a little bit more than most people, but everyone has to find like, who am I and like what are my needs, and then sort of just meet them, and that's okay. Ryan?
Something I've said too many times on the show that is applicable to just about anything we talk about, though, is just it's all about balance.
Yeah.
And so in this circumstance, it applies. It's you need to balance your social life with your personal life, and how much time you need for yourself, how much time you want to spend with other people. One trick I learned, if you're on the other end of this spectrum and you want to go out and do things, but maybe you can't, like if you're going into your junior year and you don't have your license yet, but you want to hang out with people, take a nap. Because I realized that when you're dreaming, you can literally go anywhere, because like you might dream that you're in the forest, and then you're like in the forest, even if you can't drive there. I know that sounds kind of weird, but it got me through so much boredom, because I hate boredom.
So Ryan's advice, which we're going to put on T-shirts, is take a nap.
If you're bored.
Or if you're not
take
bored.
a nap.
I mean,
okay.
That's t-shirt worthy.
I mean, there's so many things you could do. You could go to Disneyland in your dream. You could,
every issue. Take a nap. We are at 888-531-7171. The next question is from Sid the Kid. And it reads, so there's this kid I like. He just got out of a 10-month relationship 4 to 5 weeks ago, and we've been talking nonstop since then. Note that I've come to learn that talking does not mean talking face to face. It usually means chatting, and the truth is revealed when we get to the end of this post. We've been talking nonstop since then. He still loves her. He still wants to be friends with her. When she doesn't feel the same way. She even blocked his number, but he's starting to be mean to me sometimes. I told him about my breathing problem, and he sarcastically said, "Oh, that sucks." He seems like he would be a really good boyfriend. Apropos of...
At least put your sentences like in a proper structure.
Well, okay, and then she follows that with, he bought his ex chocolate-covered strawberries on her period. He said he doesn't know if he would date me. I don't know if he's over her yet, and I feel like it'd be rude if I asked. We haven't hung out in person.
You don't know.
yet.
You don't know.
We
You
haven't.
don't know if he's over yet. I mean,
You've already asked. You just said he said he wouldn't know if he dated you. Haven't you already? If he'd date you, haven't you already asked?
So,
Like,
confusion ensues.
And-
Montana, please help me.
I have to give him so much credit for however his train of thought went from he's sometimes mean to me. I feel like he'd be a really good boyfriend.
but then again, period chocolate.
Period chocolate.
No, that is the best. You have
And that's
no
gonna
idea.
be-
You don't understand.
Nico's second
I
T-shirt
get you, girl.
release will be period chocolate.
Can we actually put that on a T-shirt? That sounds like T-shirt.
We
worthy.
should come up with T-shirts for every time we have like a random statement on our place that's just hilarious.
our
like,
place
out
on
of
the front,
context.
and then just on the back, period chocolate.
What was
Take a
the
nap.
time we were talking about like Nazis or something,
Oh,
and then
no,
something
no,
was
no.
taken horribly out of
No,
context?
when I said steal a baby.
Yes.
Which became a thing for like
Became
4
a thing.
weeks.
There was you said some awful things too before. You said it was some, I remember you called out a certain like ethnicity or something in like a joking way. I don't remember exactly what it was.
I think
but
it was we have enough Jews.
that's probably what it was.
No, but God, now I have to explain the context.
Phone is ringing.
Again.
Ray Hamilton,
That's not the context.
professional phone answerer.
Also, don't ever date someone who you've never met before. I'm just throwing that out there. Like, you don't know them. You think you know
That
them, but
is-
you don't know them. There are so many people I've met who are super nice in person and come across super badly in text, or vice versa. They're super like aggressive and like annoying in person,
Can
but
I just
over
ask like
text,
a
they're
really, really intrusive personal question? How do you fall in love with someone over text?
don't. You just think you do.
But so it's just they think they're in love with the concept
You
of
create
love?
a fantasy of what you think the person is going to be because you really can't get enough out of who they are. It's like a celebrity crush. It's just you create a fantasy of what you think this person is
I
really
see.
like, off text, off camera.
Wait, but I had the impression that like
I don't
she
even know how
knows
fools fall in
him,
love.
but she hasn't like because it's the summer. She hasn't hung out with him face to face.
Okay, I can see that. If that's the,
we
I can see
haven't
that. If
hung
that's
out
the,
in person yet.
But
means
that could mean-
he could be like an Instagram friend or
But
something.
there's also people at my school who
Oh.
I haven't hung out with who I've talked to. Just
Oh.
it's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
outside
yeah.
of school. So if it's that case, if you do know them in person, then
All right, well,
yeah.
let's
Oh,
hold
but
let's
also-
hold our thoughts on this one because we have a phone call, and if they're going to talk about something else, we'll come back to this question because I know you guys have a lot to say. Hello, thank you for calling our place.
Hello.
Hi,
Boo.
who have we?
We have Mellow Jello Buddy.
Yay! Thank you for calling our place. How are you this evening?
I'm good, thank you. How are you guys?
Pretty good. Did you have a comment about the current question, or did you have a question or comment of your own?
I have a comment about this.
Okay, please talk.
Okay, well, it sounds like this girl is on. Oh, this guy's on rebound right now,
Yeah.
and even though it's been a little while, he's not ready to move on.
Definitely.
He bought her strawberries on her period.
His ex. He bought his ex while they were dating.
Yeah, that's why she thinks he'd be a good boyfriend because he's
Food
you
is a
know,
good determiner of.
he's cramp
I'm not
conscious.
even joking.
Yeah, but he made jokes about her breathing issues as well, and
Yeah.
she believes that's a good.
I agree with what you're saying about rebound. He just wants someone to chat with to fill the hole in his heart, and he's not
Yeah.
necessarily interested in dating this girl. I would
Mm-hmm,
definitely agree with your assessment of that. Ikia Mute has something for you.
Okay.
I was just gonna say about the sarcastic comment that he made. I don't want to be too harsh on him because we don't know exactly what the context was, and I feel like sometimes when you're talking to somebody a lot, you get a little too comfortable, and then you say something that you shouldn't have. Maybe.
Yeah,
That's
maybe
true.
he's like kind of the person who's always like trying to tease his friends or something. Not really like try to be mean, like, oh, that sucks, the way
But he
she's
thinks
making it
it's
sound.
funny.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Ryan?
Well, and furthermore, she kind of brought up this whole like I have a breathing issue thing. Like she said she brought it up. So sometimes it's like, how do you respond to that besides saying that sucks? Like,
Especially if it's via chat.
Yeah,
because
but-
if it's face to face.
Oh, it doesn't bother me
the
that
person
much,
is
but-
like passing
Yeah.
out.
Exactly.
It's
you don't
also-
really
You'd
know.
be concerned.
You
oh,
can never
she
really
actually
tell
can't
when
breathe.
it's over text.
Yeah, it's hard to tell if it's sarcastic. If it's over
Right,
text.
right.
This phone connection is outstanding.
Yeah,
by
it
the way. This
doesn't-
is like the best one we've had.
Yeah, what kind
I
of phone are you
know.
on? Your phone is. Are you on your?
5C.
Pardon me.
5C.
Oh, you're on a cell phone?
She's on a 5C. Excellent.
Wow, that's crazy. This is really
Yeah,
solid.
it's really good connection. Are you like next door?
I don't think so. I'm in Los Angeles.
You're in Los Angeles, so are
That's
we.
probably why.
I don't think
so
that's
we-
what's still
we
going,
may
like, up
even
and
be
back
sharing a satellite.
I don't. It's still going. No.
You should definitely come. You should come.
We have more than one.
You should definitely come be on the show because we're in the same town.
Okay.
Just make sure it's okay with your parents and that they come with you. 'Cause we don't let
Okay.
random strange
Well,
children.
I have your email, so,
Oh, all right.
set it up.
Well, Nico, I know your parents. I will definitely set it up. We like in-studio guests. In fact, we have 2 tonight. Did you meet
That's cool.
Nick and Remy? Go ahead, Montana.
Oh yeah. So from her whole like question,
Yeah.
I don't really understand a lot about her or this guy. So I feel that she doesn't even like understand this guy as much as she thinks she does. She really doesn't know because like, oh, that sucks. That could be totally like straightforward. Like that does suck, or like,
Right.
oh, that sucks.
Yeah,
like-
he just maybe was a boy who didn't know. Like if somebody said, "Oh, I have this ailment," and then he just didn't know how to respond. But here's the bottom line, and I'm going to agree with you on this about the rebound thing: is that he's just looking for someone to chat with because his heart still hurts. So if you're interested in being his friend and hanging out in that position for a month or 2 to see if he gets to the point where he's ready to date again, go ahead and do that. But definitely try and hang out in person because you're really not going to establish any type of bond that's actual until you're face to face with one another.
Yeah, and then we can't really. It's hard for us to answer the question without like her really knowing the guy and where he's coming from, because his actions could be taken a lot of ways. So, moral of the story: just talk face to face with
Yeah.
people.
Try to hang
Never
out.
text.
Mm-hmm.
Not never text,
Okay.
but you know how we get so many questions here, like I'm falling in love with this person over text.
And I feel like we give the same answer every time. It's pretty much just no, you're not. I mean, that's ultimately all
it's
we.
pretty much talk to them.
Yeah,
and
that's
then
all we
you'll
say.
Find out.
I mean, so yeah, if you're watching this episode, just keep that in mind. Just talk to people, and it's okay to text them, but don't think you're falling in love until you've actually met them.
As texting as like the primary means of communicating and establishing a bond, no.
Generally, I text people so that I can schedule when to meet up with them.
Right. But you guys are like 17 and stuff, and so when kids are 12 and 14, it's the only access they have, and so it's available, and so they do it. It's very tempting because they want contact with a human that they think is interesting. They just want that connection. Humans crave that connection, and the 14-year-old can't be like, "All right, I'm going to see my girl," So, but he. Nico, did you have something on this?
Oh no, you guys took it right out of my mouth. He's obviously on the rebound, and even if she did like meet up with him like immediately and then just start hanging out, it sounds like he's obviously not ready for anything.
Not yet, and that's why don't even bring up dating. Just be a friend for as long as you can tolerate it. And I don't recommend more than 2 months because if he's not interested in dating you within that time period, then he's just not going to ever be interested in dating you. At least this year, because stuff changes all the time. But what, Ryan?
Can't you just be friends after 2 months?
Unless she's in love with him. Did we lose our caller?
Yeah.
If she's in love with him, then she has to kind of pull back so that she can fall in love with someone else. Because if you want love and you're hanging around in the hopes of love and love isn't happening, then you're out of balance.
But I don't think you need to pull out from your relationship with the person to change your perspective. I think you can just shift your focus, but still be friends with them and close with them.
It's tricky. You can.
I think shifting your focus might pull you out of. I mean,
Okay, that's possible, too.
I'm not saying don't be friends at all, but maybe take a couple steps back because.
Okay,
you
fair
just
enough.
need
Well,
that.
yeah, because at least I don't know how guys are, but girls were always we were always oh man, I'm in love with this guy and he just wants to be my friend. I'm gonna have to just not be his friend for a little while so my heart can be receptive to other people because. Some people just are meant to be your friend, and I have really good guy friends that were only ever meant to be my friend, but I just had to learn that the hard way, and it is painful.
That is something confusing, though, which is when you have a really close friend who's the other gender, and you're like, isn't this type of friendship supposed to be what a relationship is
Yeah.
like? And then you're not sure if you want to be in a relationship with them. That's confusing.
It is, and that's part of figuring out life, and that's something that doesn't change whether you're 14, 17, or whatever age I may be. We're gonna do
Wheezy teen.
Yeah, we're gonna do Thread Theater because it's long and it's good. And kudos to Lydia Ray for posing this question, and she posed it elegantly, and I love it. And it turned into an excellent conversation. So, I'm going to give the starring role to Ryan because
I'm a star.
Because I know you read this and you know how to be. You're going to be Gray.
Oh, I thought I was gonna be Lydia Ray.
You want to be Lydia Ray?
Well, didn't you want us to choose beforehand?
Okay.
Yeah, we all kind of.
Yeah, we all have our parts.
Oh, you have your parts.
Sorry,
and
Wheezy.
Curtain up on Thread Theater, nature or nurture. Lydia Ray.
Lydia Ray said, "Do you think society is to blame for girls comparing themselves to others, or is it just human nature?"
Green Day 41.
Neither. If they compare themselves to others, it's their problem. I don't get why people criticize society for this so much. At this point in time, everything in society is about being yourself and not comparing yourself to others. People need to own up to their own flaws and stop blaming others.
Great.
I think it's partially society. Society as a whole tends to bomb girls and men, but this debate is about girls, with images of underweight models with perfect Photoshop bodies and faces. We compare ourselves to them, especially during puberty, when our bodies are changing, and we are emotionally vulnerable. This, combined with the potential bullying, adds up to a lot of insecure teens. And the fact that blogs like Thinspiration, which promote thigh gaps and bikini bridges and such, exist don't exactly help.
Winter Storm.
Society did not tell them anything. People have their own ideas of perfection and start comparing themselves to others when they can't reach their own expectations. Athletes, dancers, singers, fashion designers, and even architects can feel that way in their jobs. They will only stop comparing themselves when they are happy with themselves.
Great.
However, people's ideas of perfection are based off of what they've been exposed to. If all models had always been larger, that would be the standard of beauty. I'm not suggesting that society literally puts signs up about it, or that society tells girls anything. However, the social expectations, stereotypes, and role models society gives us do influence us. Some people find great role models, and their idea of perfection is shaped based on that, so they may not feel as pressured. However, if they find a role model who isn't as good, their idea of perfection may be swayed.
Winter Storm.
People will feel pressured by themselves no matter what role model they choose. Miley Cyrus is a role model. I'm sorry. I can't say that.
I didn't think you could say that without laughing.
I was trying so hard. She's a good singer, and people aspire to become as good a singer as her.
Okay, now she's just trolling.
Hey, she is a good singer.
She may not have the best behavior, but some people may model that. It's all in an individual's perspective. Also, I would like to add that people do not have control over their own decisions. Over their own decisions. So some societal expectations do not dictate what they do. You cannot blame society for those who are feeling insecure and comparing themselves.
Great.
I'm not blaming society. I'm only saying that it influences people. Society does set the standard for beauty, and while people's individual definitions of beauty are a separate matter, the standard of beauty which most models fit can include being unhealthily thin and photoshopped so there isn't a freckle to be seen, and the list goes on. Girls are surrounded by this standard of beauty in the media. Also peer groups, as in bullying and that kind of thing. Rather than seeing cute freckles and cheeks, they see a blemished and fat face. Then they believe that someone who looks perfect must be better. It's not an active process. It just happens when you look at someone pretty or notice a good quality about someone else. Is this society's fault? No, but society strongly influences it. Is it the girl's fault? Absolutely not.
Lydia Ray.
I think everybody compares themselves to others, whether they mean to or not. It's human nature. I see a lot of girls blaming Barbie dolls and magazines on their problems. Eating disorders, plastic surgery addiction, obsession with makeup. So I thought it would be an interesting topic to throw out there. I don't know about any of you guys, but a Barbie doll has never told me that I have small boobs and an ugly nose, and neither has society. It all comes from within. You set standards for yourself. Your standards may be based on society, but really you are the one that sets them. Just because someone is drop-dead gorgeous does not mean that you have to look like them. Everyone has something beautiful about them. I don't believe in the hottest woman alive because there's no way to judge that. Everyone is so unique. So in conclusion, society does not set the bar for you. You set it for yourself. It's not society's fault if you feel ugly. Stop blaming models because you're jealous.
Great.
I am in no way jealous, Ryan. However, no one can look at models and deny that they are all thin, lack blemishes, etc. That is what is marketed to us. In conclusion, no one said society sets your bar. However, it does set the standard bar. No one ever blamed models. At the beginning of your comment, you say it's human nature to compare yourself to another human, but at the end you said that people who act the way they are just jealous. I strongly disagree with this. It's not jealousy. You don't resent them. You feel inadequate. After all, it's just human nature.
Lydia Ray.
That is harsh. Sorry, that just you came back firing. Lydia Ray, exactly. It's human nature just to get jealous.
I'm saying it's not jealousy. Young people will compare themselves to the beautiful people around them, from models to their classmates. Yes, they want to be beautiful, but they just want to be good enough for everyone. When they fear that they won't measure up because they aren't a perfect model, they feel inadequate. It's not resentment. It's more like, I wish my teeth were wider, or I wish my legs were thinner. I don't consider that jealousy. Again, no one blames models, only the quota of beauty which they are required to meet.
All right, so is there a difference between jealousy and resentment or feeling of inadequacy? It feels like a blurred line to me, Ryan.
I mean, it's definitely a blurred line. If you look at it from the perspective of because that model has white teeth, I want white teeth. That's
Right.
jealousy. If you want something because someone else has it, that is jealousy. But if you just want it for yourself, that's not really jealousy. That's setting your own standard and living.
No, but isn't jealousy like almost being angry at the person and not liking her because she has something that you wish you had?
That's a connotation I think that comes with it. But I think
Mhm.
at its simplest level, it's just I want that and you have it.
So the point that was being made by which part were you playing?
Lydia Ray.
Oh no, Gray.
Gray
The
was
point that
Nico.
was being made by Gray is that we're not really jealous. It may present itself as jealousy, but what we all just really want as human beings is to be valid and to be okay and to have the way we look be a way that's accepted in the world. And so I totally agree with that.
I mean, that's definitely true, and that part
Yeah.
is that much is human nature. And no one really talked about this that much, or really went behind what I'm gonna talk about in a second, in this. But it's it's bothersome to me when people totally blame society for their problems, whether it's this issue or other issues. And there's also a certain aspect of this specific issue where people say oh well, plus size models are more attractive, blah, blah, blah. As a guy, and I can't speak for all guys, I can only speak for myself, but not enough people say this. I think that the people on the billboards are more attractive than a lot of women, So it's not it's just the way it is, And so they're going to put the most attractive person, photoshopped or not, on that billboard because that's what I'd rather look at, So, Keo?
Well, the first thing that for one, I liked the conversation. It was very civil, and they didn't yell at each other.
Yeah, this is one of the
too
best
much.
debates I saw on the app.
It
Maybe
was really good.
maybe a little passive aggressive, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Round of applause.
It was not jealousy. It was capitalized.
But I also like the fact that they both said so in conclusion,
Yeah.
and then they both said something afterwards. That's pretty funny.
Aw, I know. It's so
But I'm if you define jealousy as you want something because somebody else has it, how do you define inadequacy?
You want something because it'll make you feel like you're more a whole person?
And why does it make you feel that way? That's the question.
Well, if no one on Earth was a billionaire, I could still want to be a billionaire. I could feel inadequate for not being one.
Really?
I'm not if no one was living up to expectations, you could still have an expectation higher than someone you that's what I'm saying.
But if no one was living to any expectation, because
but
if there was no money, then
it's internal though. It's what you feel is adequacy. No one actually is going to look at you and be like, you're inadequate. I mean, sometimes if you're actually doing something really wrong.
I mean, the comparison of being a billionaire, I would say
that was a bad example.
If there's money that exists, then you're comparing yourself to somebody, and you're just saying, I want more money. You're still comparing yourself to somebody.
I want the most money I can possibly have, and I don't think I'm there right now. That's a personal goal, and I'm inadequate based on what I think I can achieve.
Right, but you only want money because money exists within
well, of
society.
course, I'm not jealous of money. I'm not jealous of anyone who has money. I just am setting a standard for myself that I'm not reaching. Being the fastest person, not the fastest, but running a 4.440, regardless of what anyone else runs. If you run it in a 4.7, that's inadequacy. It's inadequate to your
Right,
goals.
but you only want to run fast because running fast is seen as a good thing.
if that doesn't have to do. That's not
by
jealousy.
society.
That's meeting expectations, not jealousy. Because I could be jealous of the fact that you have a Coca-Cola, but that's not a societal expectation. Oh, my bad. It's Montana's.
No, I understand what you're saying, but I'm saying, how do you're still comparing yourself to somebody.
No, I'm setting personal goals, and I mean,
yeah, but like you're still.
That's like what a personal record is in track. Is if you can't beat your personal record, you might feel inadequate. Not because it means you're slower than anyone else.
But Keo's saying that your goals are based on
society.
What
that's an assumption, though. I mean, I could set I could set goals for myself. Like, this is awful. Hitler had goals. They were not like societally like. I mean, they eventually were accepted by some people. But like, he didn't. Like, most people didn't agree with his goals, but he felt inadequate when he didn't reach them. I'm just saying. That was. I mean, he had goals.
I have something to say back to that, but Montana wants to talk.
He had ambitions.
I like, however, we have to prove something. We always go back to the Hitler example.
But it works. If you
No, it
can
always works. I
justify
always
it
use
with Hitler
Hitler.
as your example, you've pretty much won.
No. That's why I always
justify
do it in an
anything with
argument.
Hitler as an
teaching
example.
you people?
Oy vey, Ryan. There's an actual name for that argument. Like it.
Oh yeah.
The Hitlerian argument. No, it's hilarious though. That was awful.
Please stop talking about it.
I didn't like that, and frankly, I don't find it funny.
Oy, our place. All right, I'm just gonna bring back over here. I want to go back to semantics more than making fun of Jewish people.
Be it that I'm the only
I
Jewish
thought we were
person on
making
this
fun
panel.
of Hitler.
Well, no, we were. You weren't.
I'm done.
It's about Keo. What were you going to say?
But the reason that Hitler even thought about conquest is the fact that there are societies. He thought about world domination or whatever he thought about.
But he wasn't like, I want to
of
have more
society.
domination than other people. He just wanted to have the most domination he could have. Like, it's not like some people.
Yeah, but if there was no kind of territory or domination in the world, I don't think he would have thought that.
I mean, I guess you could make that case. But if my goal is to score 8 points in a basketball game, and that's not the highest number on the court, I would definitely be jealous of the person who's the highest scoring player on the court. But my expectation can be lower because I set my own goals based on what I'm capable of and what I want to achieve, not what other people have.
But you're comparing yourself,
to no one. I'm not comparing myself to anyone.
It's in the context of a basketball game that doesn't exist without society being there.
Okay,
Like,
this table doesn't exist without society because no one would have built it.
That's
but
my point. Like, how do you?
But I don't have this table because I'm jealous.
How
of
far
What
do
he's
you
saying
go?
is there's no vacuum that you could be in and not be influenced by society when you set your
There's
goals.
no vacuum for anything, but I didn't say jealousy was being influenced by society.
So I'm
I said
saying,
it's
where
wanting
do you-
something someone else has.
where do
The
you put
line
the
is
line?
drawn where it's, do you want it because someone else has it, or do you want it because you want it? That's the line.
And it's interesting that we went from talking about the way girls look to boys talking about what they can achieve
Or Hitler's
and conquer and score.
Hitler's conquest.
Montana.
Well, back to the original question. I personally don't think it really matters, like, where this wanting to be like models or whatever comes from. I mean, I guess there's a certain amount you can blame on society, sort of. No, there's a certain.
No, nothing is anyone else's fault. This is my biggest
But
political
what-
and
but
social
but
pet
to
peeve.
back up what Montana said, probably if you went back to some sort of ancient art form, you would see women drawn on a wall in an exaggerated fashion, accentuating parts that humans perceive to be sensual and attractive.
It's not anyone's fault. It's just
No,
a
it
perspective.
just is. It just
okay,
is.
but
Yeah.
what I'm saying is, like, I'm not saying, like, we can actively, like, blame society for all of our problems, but by blame I mean, like, society's there, society occasionally, like, tells us these things, and it's perceived like that.
No, you interpret those things. I'm gonna have to stop with this because I get so passionate about this. But I'm like so big, like on my political views, my social views, everything for me is just personal responsibility. If you interpret something, it's your interpretation. So I'm gonna have to stop because I'm gonna get way too into it. But
me too.
No, but that's good. You at age 17 have developed a point of view that's based around a certain mindset and a structure of thought where you're taking personal responsibility for the things you do, the things you want, the things you accomplish, the things you like. I like that. I think that's very impressive for a 17-year-old.
Okay, that's great, but, like, what I'm talking about is when they market, like, starving models to stupid people. and then they accept that as I need to be that because they can't really they
Then
haven't
they're stupid.
developed.
I mean, that's the stupid person's fault. I know that sounds bad, but
It
if
is.
But
No,
it's,
it
it's
is,
not
but-
anyone else's fault that you interpreted it that way. It's just the way it's their fault that they presented it, but there's no fault in presentation. It's just.
I mean,
what do
there
you,
is a little bit of
what
fault if you're marketing
what you
that
see and what you
way.
interpret is what you see and interpret. It has nothing to do with what anyone else sees and interprets for you.
Right,
Okay.
because you could easily look at the starving model and say, you know what? I could use a sandwich.
No,
Exactly.
but he could. Like a lot of girls can't
And,
because
but that's
they
on
don't
them.
have.
That it sucks, but it's on them. It's not perfect.
Yeah,
it's not
no,
happy,
but that was
it's not
the
good,
other part of my argument that it's less of a societal thing, even though there is that societal factor that it's like they show us this stupid people. Not
Okay,
I don't
since
want to
we-
say stupid people. People
You're
who
saying
are
naive
impressionable.
impressionable people. But can I go back to something that was in the argument when she speaks specifically about thigh gaps and bikini?
What is a bikini?
I know what a thigh gap is. I
bridge?
don't know what a bikini.
I think a bikini wedge would be like probably when it goes across your.
Oh,
midriff,
there was
like there's an actual place you could put your finger between your bone and where, like.
Oh yeah, there
like
was a
probably-
huge like hashtag bikini bridge where people just posted a bunch of pictures of like basically if your hip bones were right here and then you were so thin that you
Is it like it's okay? So it's
like you're yeah, exactly, you're so thin that you kind of have a bridge between the two hip bones. That's a
Oh.
bikini bridge. That's basically what thin girls wearing bikinis
So
do.
when we have the internet and when we can post anything that occurs to us, is this society being irresponsible to young people who will then do unhealthy behaviors in search of or in attempting to replicate? Like, it's one thing when you could buy a magazine that showed a guy, like a freeze frame of a guy with a perfect baseball swing, and you could pick up your bat and try to emulate that. But when girls are trying to emulate things that aren't anything worth emulating, is that society like it's? I know you're saying, Ryan. You're saying the kid has to look at it. The 12-year-old kid has to look at it and go, "That's just ridiculous."
They don't have to, but it's not on anyone else if they don't.
should. But
no,
you're saying
I mean
they should.
that would be the good response. I'm not saying that anyone has to do anything, but I'm just saying if you look at it that way, that's good for you, and if you don't, that's bad for you. But it's for you. It's by you, for you. And I'm not saying that it's easy to do. I'm not saying it's convenient, but it's just no one, unless even if the sign said you need to look like this, I mean, that's you do what you want with your own life. You have your own mind. We're autonomous beings. We do what we want, and it's on you.
Well, I mean, that's kind of how I feel about that, too. Like, it's not easy for a lot of people to do that because whatever, they don't have as much confidence or they're vulnerable, like when you're 12 or blah, 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 and you don't know what you should look like. But I think as you grow up, you need to, in order to, like, function, you need to kind of come to a point where you know your limits. Like, I can never physically look like that because, well, I can't just grow, like, 6 inches or whatever. So you have to come to a point where you can kind of be comfortable in yourself, know your boundaries, and appreciate that, but also, like, appreciate yourself. Don't try to starve yourself.
And sometimes don't do things that you're capable of, but you don't want to do them. Even if they are within your reach, just they might not be smart.
Like what?
I don't know. I'm just saying, like, you were saying don't try and push yourself to do things you can't do.
Oh,
there might
yeah.
be things you can do that aren't good ideas
Keo?
either. Keo.
Oh, yeah. Well, that.
I think that society is being irresponsible with dealing with all of that. Hold on. Having argued that whole point, I think that blaming society isn't doing anything. I think that's not
Yeah, it doesn't get you
helpful.
anywhere.
And
Because we're all part of society, so
society
you may as well blame
isn't.
yourself.
It's not one person.
And
it's
if you
not
butt
something,
into it, you're a part of the problem.
Yeah, and it's not something that can take responsibility. It's society. It's like everything. So blaming society
That's deep. That was good, Keo.
is so like I don't know exactly how to fix it, and I do think that it's bad and that's what happens, but blaming society isn't helping.
I think Ryan's on the right track. You can't fix it, but you can decide this is not going to influence me
Yeah.
in a direction that's not healthy for me or anyone who knows me.
Yeah, I think that more people should go that way, and the more people that go that way, it'll just kind of hopefully snowball because
we are society, so we will change society.
yeah, so some people can't do that, so the people who can need to do it, and then we'll grow more people that can do it.
Nico, any thoughts of wisdom?
See, I think everything got said that needed to be said. On the actual question, though, about
was there a question?
It's like for girls comparing themselves to others, or is it just human nature? I think this is an actual like a psychological thing called nature versus nurture,
right?
Where it's either you were brought up to think that something is beautiful, or you were just instinctively born with it. I think I remember doing a research on an experiment that was done about this. It was monkeys trying to connect with a surrogate mother. Like they had three like surrogate mothers in a cage and like 5 monkeys in there, and then 3 surrogate mothers in a cage with 5 monkeys in there. But these surrogate mothers had wire around them, like metal wire instead of like fluffy. Yeah, exactly. Montana knows what I'm talking about.
Were the surrogate mothers monkeys also?
No, they were just like they were like basically pillows.
Oh, okay.
And every time when the monkeys got put in the cage with the wired circular mothers, even though they served the exact same purpose, they really were scared of them. They didn't like them, and they weren't brought up to feel that way. I'm not really sure if we could really compare ourselves to that, but that's what the psychological test.
I think they've done studies where babies were shown faces that were symmetrical and faces that were asymmetrical, and the babies smiled more when they saw the symmetrical faces. So there's something to be said for human beings being attracted to a certain symmetry, but we all know that once you know the person, that face becomes extremely lovable to you because that's the person you love. So I just always think that our human challenge is to go beyond appearance, because true meaning is found beyond appearance. We're all going to be always distracted by appearance. We're all going to be always saying, oh, you look so cute. And I say it because, people do like to hear that compliment, and they do like to know that they look cute. But what truly matters is the content of people's character. And so if you're distracted by someone's look, challenge yourself. Like, let's go deeper. Who is this person really? Because they're not. They're not just their appearance, and you're not just your appearance. And that's the challenge of being alive. I think one of our challenges. Ryan.
Also, just kind of what you were saying about, when you see a symmetrical face. I mean, we do strive for order as humans. Whatever you associate with order, we do strive for that. That's, so that much is true. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you guys, Montana, you want to say something? Is that your hand up?
Oh, no. It's just
I mean, I have something that I think about nature versus nurture. I kind of think that it's all nurture, but nurture turns into nature. And that's kind of a belief of, like, natural selection, I think, or evolution.
Nurture turns into nature?
Like, with adaptation and or evolution or whatever, something keeps happening, and then it becomes your nature. So,
okay.
Okay. But it starts out with nurture.
And a real quick argument for the other side of the argument. Recently, a real small colony of monkeys started to.
You're going monkeys.
Yeah, I really like monkeys. They started put grass in their heads, and it's supposed to be a fashion statement or something, basically, like what we would call a fashion statement, like
hipster monkeys.
Pretty much.
They just started doing this, or they've been doing.
No. Like they were observing them go through a whole trend where one monkey started wearing a piece of grass on its head, and then a bunch of them started doing it. So there's arguments for both sides here.
All right, we gotta be hipster monkeys next week, and all have a little piece of grass in our hair.
That grass is so nice.
And next week it's Middle School Picture Week, so bring your own. We'll see you next week on Our Place Out Loud. Bye-bye.
I've been out there wandering. I've been in here wondering, hoping, reaching, wishing I could find my way. Then I found